So I am not shy. And I can be a little pushy. I will try to keep it dialed back for everybody so that you feel super comfortable. But before I introduce the lovely people who are to my left, I would love to actually get a little bit of information from y'all so I can make sure that I'm grilling them with the right questions, okay? Can I see hands in the room of people who are already familiar with these two authors at the front of the room? Lovely. That is not a bad percentage at all. Very nice. Also some room for discovery, which is great. Can I see hands of people who are writers or interested in writing? Oh, okay. Y'all, you can see the direction that these are going to lean. All right, that's excellent. And then one more time, can I see the hands of people who are interested specifically in writing for young adults, like writing YA? All right, that is also, see, we have so much information. Okay, excellent. So here we are. My name is Marti Dumas, and I am a mom and a teacher and a writer. I mostly write middle grade, but I may be very soon dipping my toe into YA. Don't tell anybody that, Brittany. So, like these questions will be good for me as they are for you as well. But let me just make sure that we know, hold on. I have a new phone, y'all, and it has like the Face ID for unlock, and I don't know what I'm doing with it. So I'm like, oh, how do I make it open? There we go. So before getting started, here we have Brittany N. Williams. Brittany is, yes. So if you think I'm not shy, wait till she starts talking. Brittany N. Williams is a SAG-AFTRA and AEA actress, writer, singer, director, and the author of That Self-Same Metal, which is the book 1 in the Forge and Fracture saga. It's amazing. She also has a BFA in musical theater, what I told y'all, not shy, from Howard, and an MA in classical acting from the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. And she does on her website brag that Carrie Fisher also went there.
She did.
I mean, brag where it's appropriate. Like, just do it. You know what I mean? Like, don't be shy about it. Like, if you've got a good thing, too. Like, go ahead and do it.
So.
Excellent. Okay, and then K.L. Walther. Y'all are doing that little thing. Excellent. Okay. Was born and raised in the rolling hills of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, surrounded by family, dogs, and books. Her childhood was spent traveling the northeastern seaboard to play ice hockey. Okay, all right, I'm doing it. She attended a boarding school in New Jersey and went on to earn a BA in English from the University of Virginia. She is happiest on the beach with a book, which is a thing I think you would be able to guess if you'd read this particular book of hers, cheering for the New York Rangers or enjoying a rom-com while digging into a bowl of popcorn and M&Ms and listening to Taylor Swift on repeat, of course.
So my aunt wrote all of that because
Have you never heard it?
No, it's all true, but I sent her, I was like, I really can't write about myself. So here are some bullet points.
Okay, so that was tip number, y'all can start numbering them. That was tip number 1.
Right.
Get somebody else to write your bio. Did you hear that? Okay.
No, it's really good. Mine is like a resume. Yours is like a fun bio. It's like, oh, so interesting.
She is a journalist, so that's why I went to her. But
I think they're both amazing. And also, just so that you guys can know that we're on the same footing here, I'm going to say something right now that's probably going to mean that we're never going to be friends. No. I'm so sorry. I just heard my first Taylor Swift song yesterday. It was really good.
Which one?
Maroon. It was a really good song. Okay, all right. Oh, no, I just don't know. I'm ignorant. I was like, oh, my gosh, who is this girl? And somebody was like, Taylor Swift. I was like, oh, she's really good. Like, wow, like she's talented.
She's
like,
going somewhere.
I should check her stuff out. Right. So excellent. Is there anything that you guys would like to add about yourselves before I start plying you with questions?
I will say I live here in New Orleans. So anybody who's local, you will see me out and about in the book stuff here. And the sequel to That Self-Same Metal comes out on April 23rd. So boom.
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
I'm not local, but I've been here before. My uncle has lived here for 2 decades, so this is a special city to me. And every time I come down, I don't want to leave. So.
Oh, excellent! And that, honestly shows through in this. Well, it's fine. Let's get into that. Okay, Excellent. I will not start spoiling things. I'm gonna let them control the level of spoiler that you give. Like I will pull my spoilerish questions out and let you control the level of spoilers that you give, because there are some people who have room for discovery in the room. So I'm gonna follow your lead on that bit. But let's start off with a bigger question, which is, what brought you to YA?
Oh, okay. So for me, when I first got the idea for the story behind that self-same medal, or the first like question that sparked it, I tried writing it with an adult main character, and I tried, and the story was not flowing. So I just kind of went back to the drawing board, aged her down, and kind of channeled my 16-year-old self. And that's when everything really started to flow. And so I realized I was literally writing to my teenage self and writing to any other like 16-year-olds who love Shakespeare and who maybe feel like they don't have access to it, possibly because of like who they are or how they're raised, or because they're Black. And also writing to like 16-year-old me who liked boys and girls and didn't quite understand how to like deal with that or how to handle that, and just to say like, hey, it's all right. You know, you're an individual, you're special, but you're also perfectly normal at the same time. So.
I think for me, part of it was I started writing so young. So I went to a boarding school, and then I started writing my sophomore year in college. And my idea was set at a boarding school, so I kind of had to go young.
That'll do it.
And I've read young adult books all through my adulthood as well. So it's just a genre I love. I love writing to myself. I love using my younger cousins as like my muses. And making sure my vernacular is still accurate.
Right.
I love that.
I write
Like
historical, so I don't have to worry about like new slang. I could just be like, Shakespearean slang, here we go. So I saved myself on that one. But
yeah, I tried to keep it okay with the vernacular, but the book I'm revising now, I used jeans and a cute top for her going out outfit. The editorial assistant made a note, and she's like, I think for Gen Z, it's more like a white top and fun pants now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I texted my cousin, and she's like, yeah. And then I'm like, can you send me some examples of fun pants, please?
No, we were key for like jeans and a cute top, like jean, or the business casual in the club. That was show my age, business cash.
I'm like looking at people in the audience who are like, your age, yourself.
I know.
You're doing it right now.
I'm
It's
a
so
millennial.
funny. Look at you, millennial, out there doing it.
In college, business cash in the club. That was it.
All right, excellent. So both of you, and it sounds like you kind of stumbled into YA, like the story pushed you, and then the story pushed you, but also you'd read a ton of it so that you were there. So then that, like you were both a little bit familiar with YA as a genre and the things that people think about. We're gonna play a little game here, right?
Okay.
So the little game we're gonna play is, what's negative stuff people say about YA? Oh, it's a great game. It's a great game.
Yeah.
All right. So we're just going to go back and forth. You get one. You can agree. You can say, oh, I agree with that one, but then you have to add one onto it. Okay. So, I'm going to say, how about, because you went first last time, how about like, let's give you a good sporting chance. You go first. A negative thing people say about YA.
She's so immature and...
She's so immature. Okay, excellent.
So I agree with that. Also, I agree because it's true that people say it. It's bad that they say it as a negative because she's a teenager. Like, it's a teenager. Like, her, the frontal lobe isn't developed yet. Like, until you're 25. So of course you're gonna be.
And some people still aren't.
Listen. So do I add on to that?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, and the writing is too simplistic. That one I really hate. I hate it.
All right.
Absolutely agree with that.
Okay. And?
Where's the spice?
Oh man. Yes. It's like we're writing for 13 and up. We don't need spice. And like, even if you have some like, sexy moments in it, just remember it's PG-13, fade to black.
Fade to black.
Yes.
Fade to black.
I am
Fade to
all
black.
fade to black. But yes, it bums me out. Where's
Yeah.
the spice? I'm like,
It wasn't
They're
spicy
17.
enough. Right. They're minors, please.
All right, do you have a yes and?
Yes, and oh man. Oh, well, this isn't necessary. This is something that I see people say after they've read a YA novel. They'll be like, oh, I don't know. I just really hate teenagers.
Wow, tell me how you really feel, people. Like,
Right? It's like you're reading a book about a teenager. Why do you do? Why? Like,
all right, have you encountered any of those levels of hate? Is that a yes and for you?
No, I haven't seen it. I
Okay.
can totally, I can see it in my head, but I haven't read any of that. Why don't they just talk?
All right.
yeah.
All right. All right. Are there any in the audience?
I was thinking that one, there's no rich vocabulary.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
No, there is.
Totally is, right?
And it's like, right, like rich vocabulary, or like in my experience, a lot of times the books written for kids tend to have more challenging vocabularies because like people want the kids to look things up. You want people to be curious. You want to and especially in high school when you're trying to get down all those like SAT words, like they're gonna be in the book, like they're gonna be there. And I know that's one thing I love about reading YA is all of the new things that I do learn from really lush and really beautiful writing, and
Absolutely.
just like my inner child being able to see her way through things that I struggled with more as a kid, and knowing that a kid who's struggling with that now can be able to read their way through it more easily. Because when I was growing up, it was just all children's literature. It wasn't a split
There was no
between
split.
children's and YA.
Yeah.
So like,
Yep. It was like
Howl's
children's,
Moving
and then
Castle.
There was the rest of the library. It was
Yeah,
just
like Howl's Moving
done.
Castle has a 17-year-old protagonist, 17, 18-year-old protagonist, but that was in the children's section.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
it would be like considered YA.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm going to throw one in that hurts my heart. I told you guys that I'm a teacher, right? And a mom. And a thing that hurts my heart all the time that I hear and like nods or like y'all can tell me I'm wrong, right? Is that it's frivolous.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
I especially as a classroom teacher, I had a lot of parents who'd be like, "Oh, I don't want them reading that. It's silly. Like it's
Right.
not. It's like, oh, okay. Like there are things that you're gonna get out of whatever it is that you're choosing to read. So then like that's okay. But okay. So for me, that was like a little bit of a hard thing. But with those things, knowing that's kind of out there, what is it as a writer, right, that made you really, like, what is it that you were conscious of while you were writing the YA? Like, is there a piece that you were like, I really want to get this part right, or I really don't want to mess this part up, or this is a thing that I want to, like, rage against the machine. I'm going to tell the man that this is not accurate at this time.
Well, for my debut book, it's set at a boarding school, and I love boarding school novels. Young adult. The thing was, one of my favorite young adults, I won't name it, it's set at a boarding school, and they got the entire thing wrong with rules and stuff and just the atmosphere. So I thought part of why I wanted to write a boarding school book was like, I want to get it right. I want to show people what it's like. And then for my second book, one of the main characters, her older sister passed away. And I was grieving at the time my father had passed away. So I really wanted to get the grief angle and the healing right, which is so hard because we don't grieve in the same way. So have gotten messages about how relatable it is and they feel the same way. And that just warms my heart because I achieved what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, no, that is really beautiful. I know for me, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't writing characters who were adults who just said, well, I'm 16 years old, so like
Fellow kids.
Yeah, right. Like that I wasn't actually writing adults and just pretending that they were teenagers. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't talking down to my readers, while also acknowledging that like some of the higher level history stuff that I'm covering in this book, because it's set in London in 1605, like they're not going to know that off the top of their head. There's some stuff that literally only lives in my brain because I'm a huge Shakespeare nerd. So like trying to reveal that in organic ways without it feeling like an info dump, without it feeling like a textbook. And then just putting love for teenagers and teenagehood in the book. You can tell when the writer has a distaste for teens, or for young people, and I just really don't want that vibe in my books. Like, I love kids. I love the potential of teenagers. I love the curiosity, the passion, the willingness to like run fully forward and be wrong. The fear of running fully forward to be wrong, like all of those things, the full breadth of emotions that you're still discovering, how everything feels like the end of the world, even though like 2020 hindsight, it wasn't then. Like I love all of that, and I just wanted to make sure that made it into this story. And I want kids to read the book and come away curious about history, and willing to question the history we've been sold. In the afterword of my book, I say the Fae in this book are made up, but the queer people and the people of color actually existed in London in this time. That part is true. Mm-hmm. So I especially wanted to give Black kids, brown kids, and queer kids, like, let them know we are in history. We've existed for millennia, centuries. As long as people have been people, we have been around. So whenever somebody tries to tell you that, you don't belong, you shouldn't exist like this, you're wrong because of how you feel, you're wrong because of how you look. They have this book to use as a baseball bat and just bust them upside the head and be like, you're lying to me.
Nope. Okay, so excellent. So I would love for us to be able to get a little bit actually into these stories, but because I'm not going to leave you out. I told you. I promise I'm not going to leave you out. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have them introduce Joan and Meredith to us a little bit, so just so that we can get an overview, and I'm going to let them control the level of spoiler that they give us about each of these characters. Okay, so let's do Meredith first, and then Joan.
Okay, Meredith is your girl next door, and she is in shambles. She starts out the book, her favorite cousin is getting married on Martha's Vineyard. She's excited to go, but she's grieving the loss of her sister, and her longtime boyfriend just broke up with her. So I believe one of the opening lines of the book is her on the phone going, I don't have a +1 for this wedding. He broke up with me. I need a +1. But she gets to the vineyard and she vows that it's all about reconnecting with her family and friends that she's kind of shut out while she's been grieving, and learning that she can be independent, but that doesn't mean she needs to be alone.
Okay. That was lovely.
That was, yeah.
You're like, what?
Yes. Right.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. All right. So let's hear about Joan.
So Joan is a 16-year-old girl who has the magical ability to manipulate metal that was granted to her by the Orisha Ogun. Joan and her family are a part of a tradition of people in London who venerate the Orisha, who are spirits from West African tradition. Ogun is the Orisha of metal, of iron, of technology, and of war. So Joan only wants to use this metal bending power to build swords and choreograph fights for William Shakespeare's acting company. Her twin brother is an apprentice there, and so for the past 3 years, she's been working there, handling all of their fights and handling all of their weapons. Everything's going great for her, and until malevolent fae start to invade London, and she finds that particularly because she is one of 2 people blessed with these iron manipulation powers, she is essential to defending the mortal world from this approaching fae threat.
Okay. So these sound super different. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay. I mean, yeah, they do. And yet, right, as I was because I'd known, I met Brittany a while back, so then I had read that Self-Same Metal when I was still, I think I have an uncorrected proof.
Yeah, you have an art.
Right, yeah. So then, but I reread, and also, right, okay, so then I was like actually struck by how many similarities there were. And I was like, oh, that's because they're both good at YA. I was like, this is going to be perfect if there's people who want to know, because like there are actually a remarkable number of similarities. So let's go with the first one. There's a lot of shipping in these books, right? In both of the books. Whoever wants to talk about whichever ship first, go.
Well, actually, I just revealed Endgame on my Instagram today. So, like, I guess it's technically not a spoiler. So Joan actually has a huge crush on one of the other apprentices with Shakespeare's acting company, a young man named Nicholas Tulane. And she's known him for as long as her brother has been an apprentice there. And so she hasn't quite like gotten the courage. She's like getting the courage up to be like, hey, Nick, I like you. And he's getting the courage up to be like, hey, Joan, I like you. So it's a lot of like, you know, like close stuff, like touches that linger a little too long, like, oh, getting close and blushing and being like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. Like, you know, like you do with that, like that person who you're like, I like my brother's friend and I don't know what to do about that. And then as this like this face threat is starting to bubble up in the city, she meets this mysterious young woman who's very beautiful, very charismatic, and it's kind of like love at first sight for the two of them. So she's trying to figure out like, okay, it feels like what I feel for each of these people is on equal footing. So I don't know what to do about that. If you want to know what the end game is, pop over to my Instagram after the panel.
All right, nice pitch. All right.
Yeah, so Meredith, she's been with her high school boyfriend for all 4 years. They're very close. He's helping her get through this time. But then after they graduate, he breaks up with her seemingly out of nowhere because they're not going to college together. But he had told her he would still come to the wedding with her. And she's strong. She tells him no, but she's still kind of wrecked inside. And then on the ferry over to Martha's Vineyard, it's an island, she gets out of the car, and on these ferries, the cars are all very tightly packed together. So she goes through the sunroof and then kind of swings down and manages to kick somebody in the face. And, you know, she goes, sorry, and then makes like a run for it. Later, for the welcome party for this wedding, her grandparents introduce her to one of the groomsmen who has a huge bruise all over his face. She's very embarrassed, but they kind of click right away and become friends. And she kind of wants to be more than friends with him, but she knows, you know, getting the guy is not the point of this week-long trip. So she's kind of battling with, I don't need a guy to be... but, you know, kind of falling in love with him at the same time.
Oh, see, my high school boyfriend broke up with me a couple months before prom and was like, but I'll still go to prom with you. And I was like, no, I'm good.
Thank you.
No.
I'm all right.
He was actually always planning to go to prom with his ex because they went to the same school. I know, right? Scandal. See, this is why. You got to put all this in there.
Like, I feel like you're just like sliding in. Like, this is it for another book. Okay, so I loved hearing you guys. Authors are like often not self-aware, heads up. So like, just like I'm witnessing it in real time because both of these people sat up here in front of you. Like there's a video camera, heads up. Like they both sat in front of you and said, oh yeah, like people complain about the spice level. And I'm like, there's no spice.
All mine face. I didn't say that. I didn't say that there's no spice.
Okay, well, we have video. We can go back and watch. Like it's totally fine.
But people ask for like, you know, like habanero. They ask for like huge spice levels. Like they're talking like they want to read basically
5 pepper emojis.
Right, right. I'm like, I got like 1.5 minutes, like PG-13, like.
Okay, so I
PG-13.
obviously just reread both of them, right? So then I'm like fresh. You know what I mean? Like I finished yesterday, so like I'm like super fresh. And I would say that we're at least for me for YA, both of you are at a 3 pepper. Like I don't know.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so that's about taste because I have also had readers come to me and be like, oh my gosh, this is so good for like younger YA readers, like.
Okay,
So,
I want to say
but
that they read quickly. Okay,
my adult neighbors were like, "Whoo, that was a lot for me."
because I noticed. I was reading. I
don't think
noticed.
it's
I
too
saw
much.
things. I was like,
I don't
okay.
think it's too. And then also consider like thinking about the 16-year-old I was. They are not me.
So
It's
that is
toned down.
why I'm like, absolutely. I did not pick the title for this panel, but I was like, okay, good. It's excellent that whoever did pick the title for this panel clearly read the two books, because like this totally works here. So like one of the expectations here that I really feel like both of you ended up subverting is you both have female main characters who are often more stereotypically depicted as demure or shying away from their sexuality. And neither of these characters are. Like, they're both very aware and also not like sad about it. Like, it's just a present part of like what's going on in their heads. Can you tell me about that, like, decision making? Because remember, we have people who are going to copy you in the room. So like, you want to, okay.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to model a healthy relationship with your own sexuality, even as you start like coming to understand it. And a big thing for me, particularly in interactions between Nick, Joan, and Rose in the book, is that I'm very explicit about consent. That is not something that you get particularly in romantic literature or a lot. I think we're starting to get it more, but because I'm writing for young people, I wanted there to be very explicit moments of consent, even if it meant like, you know, a trope that I really love in romance. I had to lose it because it doesn't include consent in it. Then I just lost it and I figured out something else. But I think it's still, all the stuff still worked.
So we're it definitely still worked. You're at a 3 chili peppers, so right? Like, it definitely still worked. And I love that you're modeling the idea of like consent still being sexy. Like, this is like a thing that's going to be in there. Yeah,
I love the consent point, because I had made sure that was in there right down to, you know, their first kiss. And I also didn't really want to put a timeline on falling in love. I mean, the book is only set over a week, but I think you can fall in love with a week when you have that connection with that person. And I mean, she was with her other boyfriend for 4 years and didn't have nearly the same connection as she does with Whit.
All right, excellent. So would either of you consider your book a full-on romance? Do you consider yours a full-on romance?
No, I don't consider mine a full-on romance.
Okay.
No,
I'm like, Joan has other stuff to worry about. She's in the middle of like a brewing war. Like, she's trying to figure stuff out. She's got Fae threats coming at her. She's got the King's Spy Master coming at her. And
Can I say hilariously that is a thing that these two books have in common? That they both are set in the middle of a brewing war.
That's
except one of them has
water guns.
There you go.
Right. Oh, mine is much more.
Many different kinds of twisted magic.
Yep.
Right.
More people getting eaten by monsters and beheaded. So
yeah, for sure.
It's so funny because I love young adult fantasy, and I bow down to young adult fantasy writers because I could never create a world or a magic system. But I was writing. A big part of the Summer of Broken Rules is everyone in the family plays this game called Assassin, where you all have water guns, and you have a target, and if you shoot your target, you inherit their target, and eventually it comes down to a few people. Right. So I'm writing these scenes, and I'm like, this is the closest thing I'm ever going to get to writing a battle scene.
And
it's tough.
It's not close. Like, you did it. Like that's it. Like, they're literally talking about body counts. Like over the course of the thing. It's really
battle scenes are hard too. It's a lot of people to keep track of. A lot of choreography to write. A lot of figuring out how to break down complex moves that you can see in your mind's eye, but you don't want to use too many words to describe it because then that throws off the rhythm. So. Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on. We're gonna stick on this thing for a second. Okay. Well, no, I'm keeping us together. Okay. So, you guys have these. Do you feel like that the romantic relationships, are a key part of having it be YA? Like, would you consider writing a YA storyline that did not have a romantic component?
So I know for the first book, for That Selfsame Metal, the most important relationship to me in that book is the one between Joan and her twin brother. Like that relationship is at the core of the book. But at the same time, as I imagine further stories, like writing more stories down my career, I always picture there being a romantic element because I'm very romantic. Like I'm a romantic. So I'm always like, even as a teenager, I was like crushing on this person, crushing on that person. And it's just so fun to have in there. Like, why not? Like,
Okay.
why not?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I love writing about all different kinds of love, like the huge family in the Summer of Broken Rules. I loved writing about those characters. I like tight-knit friendships, but at the end of the day, I root for my characters' good fortune, and part of that to me is always finding, your life partner.
Well, that's sweet too. Okay. Yeah. You're like, I want you to have this thing. It's like that, is it Dina Carter? I hope you dance. Like, it's like,
Oh,
yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I wish this beautiful thing for you. Okay. So you brought us into the next thing, which is about their other relationships, right? So, they both have sibling things, but also other relationships that are central. Again, I'm going to let you control the level of spoiler that you're giving. So I'm going to have you both talk about it.
So Joan, of course, has her twin brother. Both of her parents are in the picture, which there's a reason why parents are dead in a lot of like literature for young people. And it's because if you have good parents, it's much harder to go out and do really dangerous things, because they're going to wonder where you are. They're going to want to protect you and everything. And Joan's parents are good. It's just that like things happen real fast. They are also a part of the war trying to figure out things for their kids, like for the rest of the society and stuff. So they get distracted, and so they do their best, but they're good parents. She also, because she works with the Kingsmen, William Shakespeare's acting company, she falls under the mentorship of William Shakespeare himself, of another actor in the company, Richard Burbage, who was like known as the greatest actor of the time. And then she has her godfather within their religion, who he's the only other person who's been blessed by Ogun. So he's like her spiritual guidance within this world. So
Yeah. So how do you feel like those relationships empower Joan, or do you?
It's like a double-edged sword. So she has this like deep desire to protect all of these people around her. And because she has this responsibility, because she's one of two people with this power to that is like strong against the Fae, she feels a responsibility to take care of everyone around her, even if they are adults. But at the same time, these are people who love her and care about her and are very vocal about that and about their support. So even when she feels like she needs to go it alone, there's always somebody there who to like let her know, like, no. This isn't how you need to do things. We are here. We've got your back. Okay. And so I think I really wanted to show a Black protagonist, a Black girl, being loved and supported by a multitude of people in a multitude of different ways.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah.
So, relationships that, like they really surround, like you actually open the book with this framing of this missing piece.
Yeah, so Meredith, she has her parents, and then she had her older sister, Claire, who has passed away. Beyond that she has this very quirky but charming extended family. She's very close to her grandparents, her aunts and uncles, her older cousins, younger cousins, and then she has family friends. So they empower her because they are also all, grieving and trying to keep Claire, her sister's memory, alive. But at the same time, they're not all grieving in the same way. So that causes some conflict. Meredith kind of pulled back from people, and but another person, really wanted to stay tight-knit and together and go through this together. So they kind of butt heads a little on that, and that pulls them apart.
Mm-hmm. Are there ways that you feel like those relationships strengthen her, or do the opposite?
I know the character she's a conflict with. There are popular and unpopular opinions with her, but the cousin, the bride, who was actually involved in Claire's accident, they have never really talked about it because it happened to Sarah as well. They have a very good chat. That definitely brings them closer together.
Okay. So this is going to be my last question for them, and then we're going to open up the questions for you guys, and I'm going to give you two little things so that you have a moment to really be able to come up with your questions. Number one, I am not afraid of silence. Okay. People need time to think. They need a moment. I'm going to give you a moment, but also we're going to use these last things that I do up here as your opportunity to vamp, to get your questions together, get your life together. Okay. Everybody's got to have them. Okay. And then you're going to be ready in like maybe a minute and a half. Everybody's good? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. Here we go. So, what is a thing that you intentionally did as a writer, because you're the god of this world that you've made, right? As a writer, what is a thing that you intentionally did to empower your character?
Ooh.
Oh, I love when that happens.
Right?
When I ask questions and they're like, oh, dang, like, I don't know, okay.
Meredith is afraid of adventure in the beginning of the book. She's from upstate New York. She's graduated high school. She's going to college in upstate New York because her sister passed away on her first big adventure. So her love interest, he is all about traveling the world. He's going to take a gap year. He's going to go to Australia. He's going to work on a farm. He's going to go to New Zealand. So I definitely wanted that to for lack of a better word, challenge her and help her kind of get over that fear and staying in her small little world. So that was very intentional. That was his thing, and she needs to give it a chance. And,
All right. Yeah. That's excellent. So you knew that was going to be her growth point. Like when you were making her character, you're like, like this is a thing and it's a sore of hers and I'm going to dig into it. It's so mean. Authors are so mean. A sore thing, I'm going to dig into it and make sure that she can grow through it.
You got to hit that third rail. For me, I made Joan very good at using her powers recreationally or for fun. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't have to have this huge, she can jump into a fight, no problem. She's good at what she does. This 16-year-old girl can order all of these grown 40-plus-year-old actors around and give them choreography and they listen. So she's very confident in using her powers for fun things, but it's all right, you can theoretically have a fight and be like, oh, I would do this if I was in a fight. But as soon as you are in a real fight and you get that, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So that was she's confident and up to a point. So yeah, I just wanted her to be good at metal bending, and she still has a lot of room to grow.
I love that you just straight up call it metal bending.
It's good.
Oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh, her dad's a blood bender and she's a metal bender. I was like, yes. This is, okay, so yeah, okay, that's excellent. Okay, so are y'all ready? You're good? Okay, are there any questions? Do people have questions out here?
There we
go. So I'm gonna do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do 5 and then we'll hopefully have time for 5 more.
We've got a few minutes, and so I'll bring you the microphone.
Excellent. So you're 1, you're 2, we got 3 here, 4, and then I'm going to make you jump back for 5. Okay, excellent. Remember your number. You got it? Okay.
Okay, so I'm working on a young adult novel currently, and it's kind of got a dual perspective situation going on, and one of the characters is a woman of color, and I was wondering how you guys think I can effectively portray the experience of being a woman of color in the United States in the current place without overstepping, because I am not personally a woman of color.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's hard. First, you have to be specific. Being a Black woman is very different from being, a Latina woman, from being, someone, there's a full breadth of experience. Someone who's East Asian isn't going to have the same experience as me. So you need to first be very specific about this person, her background, where she's from, and you need to talk to people and read from people who also share that experience. and know you're probably going to get it wrong. Don't be
gracious, yeah.
Yeah, don't be precious about it. Don't get in your feelings. Like it happens. You make mistakes. Be open, be curious, be flexible, and try to take your ego out of it. So.
And get your Black friends to read the thing if she's Black.
Oh,
get
yeah.
your Asian friends to read, like, and if you're like, but I don't have any. Okay, all right, excellent. All right.
Then that
Let's pass to number 2.
Who's number 2?
Thank you. Hi. I don't know if I'm using this right. But I am kind of wanting to get more into writing. So my question for you was, I know that for Kayal, she said that her characters are more based on like your cousins or like other people in your family. Whereas for Brittany, you were saying that you're really interested in like Shakespeare, and that was kind of like your thing. So when you're kind of like conceptualizing these ideas for your books, like, is it more based on like the reality of like life and like what you are interested in, or is it more kind of like just like a fantasy idea in your head where you're like, I wish this was true, or it's more modeled based on like, this is like what I've experienced, or I have good memories with this, or
Okay, yeah. So for me, I'm working with all of this like knowledge of the time period, because as an actor who performs Shakespeare, you have to have this basic understanding of like what life was like for the audience that was originally seeing these plays, and for the actors who were performing in them, and the playwright who was writing them. So all of that, I tried to base it as much in reality as I could, because then I have like fairies and magic and stuff. But I started with a question, and that question was, what would happen if someone who was blessed with iron magic by the Orisha Ogun had to face the Fae, who are vulnerable to iron? And then everything just kind of bubbled out from there. And it took a couple iterations to really like get Joan right, find the like character who would have the most dramatic journey answering this question, and like to fill out the world around her. And yeah, I just wanted to make it fun. So it's like just right. I kind of pantsed the first draft of this one ever since I've been plotting. So yeah, it's just like write and discover, and yeah, you'll find it.
And I don't know if you've read, don't tell me, it's fine. If you've read this book yet, but when you do, like, you'll see, I think, that Brittany does a really good job of mixing the real with fantasy. And I think that that's part of what makes it feel so real, is that she's mixed so much real in with her fantasy, including how people interact with the characters. Mm-hmm.
So I always start with a place. I pick places that are very important to me. Martha's Vineyard, my family's been going there for 2 decades. My dad, long before that. So I always start with a place, and then I like to pull kind of memories. The wedding my dad was the best man in. I don't know how the wedding went in detail, so that's all me, but I do like to pull from real life as like a starting point, and then I warp it to my degree for the story.
I love you using the word warped right there. It's nice. It's nice.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Our number 3.
Okay, I think we have time for one more.
Yeah,
Who's
go
number
for
3?
I was working on a project I came up for an idea with, and sort of got stuck in the details of the plot. Went through some seasons of my life and did some very detailed character development. It starts out with a 13-year-old white boy and a 15-year-old black female neighbor that moves in. And he's attracted to her. Come to find out, she is his cousin, his first cousin. And as I was developing the character, it's about a great deal into family relationships and the interactions of all of these family relationships in between Pensacola, New Orleans, and Jackson in present-day time. The female character, I've done more development on her than anyone, and I loved who she was becoming. She was a biracial female character in the South, and as I began to develop her, I thought perhaps that she was gay, which was fine. But then as I did more work, I realized that perhaps she wasn't gay, she was transgender. And that bothered me only because I was so happy with the direction that she was taking, that Cam was taking, as a strong, Southern Black female with biracial or interracial parents. I didn't want her. This is so emotional. You can tell I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with her being a boy because she's a girl. She's a Black Southern female, and the strength and power that comes with that. And I'm getting very
Yeah,
emotional.
I mean,
with that.
well,
I'm
well.
sorry.
My first question would be, when you say she's trans, are you saying that she's a trans woman or a trans girl or a trans boy? I would caution you from adding too many layers to her outside of your experience, particularly as some of these differences become very delicate, especially in today's climate. And you don't want to misrepresent someone, even if you showcase a character with all of your heart and you just feel like, oh, I love this character so much. We can still, as artists, do incredible harm with the best intentions. And it's not, if she is a trans girl, that doesn't change her strength as a woman. And if he is a trans boy, then that requires an entirely different strength, particularly to be a Black boy in the South. And I don't think that should be disregarded. I just want to really caution you about getting too in the weeds with this, and just wading into an area too far outside of your expertise.
Right.
Because
It's like when people on Instagram from New England, no offense, I love New England, okay, make gumbo. You've seen it happen.
Ooh, and put tomatoes in it.
Right?
Oh.
They do stuff, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, bless you, that is a soup, right?
Right.
But it is not, in fact, gumbo. And if you told people that that is gumbo now, and they believe you, now when I give them real gumbo, they don't believe me.
Right.
And it's my actual culture. It's like a pretty direct thing. So you want to make sure that you actually know the recipe for gumbo before you go around telling everybody that is gumbo.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Can I say one last quick thing? One quick thing. So we are 150 plus days into a genocide that has killed thousands and thousands and thousands of children, particularly because we want to write for young people. We need to be aware of how we exist in this world in relation to young people, both here and in other places. So I would please ask you to do what you can today to support the people of Gaza and to call for a ceasefire and to call for a free Palestine. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our participants.